Welcome back, everybody, to another Tuesday night live show. League of Inches. Cannot wait to rip in. And I pre-warned you, we are ripping straight into this one. We've got Jason from Advisory with us for literally 10 minutes to discuss all of the legalities around this Lachlan Galvin situation. The letters being sent out, obviously the bullying and all that sort of stuff. So Jason is going to talk to us. I've got Jake as well and Trav, but I'm handing the mic over to Jace, letting him go off. Any questions you have, please let him know very early on because we've got him for 10 minutes and then he's gone. So, Jace, thank you. Take it away.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me, especially for the short little cameo. Look, basically, I just want to outline what the law is, and I'm still struggling to understand really from being what's reported. But basically, what I understand is that his management and or lawyers are saying that he's been subjected to bullying in the workplace. So the Fair Work Act, Section 789 FD, that defines bullying, workplace bullying as repeated unreasonable behaviour that creates a risk to health and safety of that employee. So that's one aspect of it, and that's if you want to go to the Fair Work or Fair Work Commission and make a bullying complaint and ask for the bullying to be stopped. And that's where the Fair Work Commission actually investigates. There's evidence put on. They go in and figure out if there's bullying or not, and they either find the employer or tell the employer that it has to stop. The other side of it is workplace health and safety in the Work Health and Safety Act. Now, generally across Australia, they're all very similar. And what's happened recently is that there's been a lot of changes in respect of bullying, workplace harassment, and psychological and mental health claims in respect of workers' compensation. So what the government has done generally, and all the states have adopted, is that it's a lot harder to make mental health claims for workers' comp, but they've imposed a duty on employers. Now it's a statutory duty to make sure that there's a safe working environment and to avoid workplace bullying, which includes that psychological safety aspect. The other part of it is a very general common law defamation, tort claims and things where if there was an intent to inflict some sort of emotional harm, the employer might be liable, what's called vicariously liable, because the employees are doing the wrong thing to other employees and then you blame the employer. So that's sort of like the law around it. What are the consequences from that? Well, obviously, as I said, the workplace bullying. So that Galvin or whoever else, there's maybe others that make a complaint, can go to the Fair Work Commission to get a stop bullying order. And that, as I said, is an investigation, a stop bullying order or fines. There's also potential breaches of the work health and safety legislation that imposes those obligations, the statutory obligation on the employers to keep a safe environment. And the new laws say that they have to put things in place to avoid bullying. So whether or not West Tigers are doing that, I don't know, but they have that duty to keep a safe environment and a safe workplace. So WorkSafe may intervene. They may do their own investigation. There's other fines. The other aspect of it is that from Lachlan being dropped, there is an argument, what's called constructive dismissal. So because he's been dropped, I think he's actually been on the team list now, but because he was dropped, there's an argument that maybe that means he was fired, and there's an argument around that. The other part of it is what's called adverse action or general protections, where, for instance, Section 340 of the Fair Work Act says that if you're trying to invoke a workplace right, the most common one is like, I want to have a break at work. In this instance is declining a contract extension, for instance, and then you're bullied or you're treated differently because of that, then that could give rise to a general protections or adverse action claim. And the two other little aspects of it is a contractual breach. So you could push and say, oh, this has breached contract because you haven't kept me safe. You haven't done the right thing by me, so I want to terminate my contract. And then there's that other aspect of like what we call tortious claims, which is like defamation or the like. So that's sort of like the roundabout legal sphere that we're in. And the consequences for the club are many Fair Work Commission claims, contract claims in court, pushing for termination of contract. And from just my own personal view, it seems like they're shaking the tree to see what falls. And whatever falls, they're going to stick with and try and get Galvin out of the club as soon as possible.
Do you think, Jace, purely off what's happened here and just this letter of bullying, etc., he has a leg to stand on here to basically separate ties with the club almost immediately? Is this enough to just go, it's part ways, it's done?
Well, if it's just relying on the social media posts and things, because I'm not sure what exactly is going on in the inner sanctum, that would be enough for a claim. So that would be enough to say, look, there is something here, and potentially an investigation or the like. But what it's really going to do from a legal perspective is more strategic. It's to push to say, we're going to claim all these things that have happened to Lachlan, and we're going to push for all these outcomes unless you let us out. So that's generally what lawyers will do. That's what we call like legal threats. We'll make a lot of threats and we'll say we're going to claim the world, but instead of giving us the world, just give us Australia. We'll take Australia and we'll move on. So that's essentially, a lack of a better analogy, that they're going to claim a lot of things, but really there's somewhere in there is what they really want, and they'll settle for that. But I guess they're being quite aggressive to try and just get him out, and potentially they could by doing that.
Is there, obviously this is a lot all to do with the social media posts, a lot of these bullying claims essentially, and obviously him not being picked, things like that. Is the social media stuff being in like the court of law, etc., is that become more and more of a big piece of key evidence moving forward? Obviously, we know social media is so big these days, something that I guess players now moving forward have to be careful of what they post as well.
Yeah, exactly right. So the new workplace laws are still sort of coming to the courts and being interpreted. But from the way that it's been put through Parliament, and the intention is to stop all types of bullying, especially cyberbullying. So there's been a lot of, especially through COVID, there was a lot of workplace bullying, both back and forth, and different things that happened, of course, all online. And that also stems from the way that the world is now, and the way that we interact at work, especially being a lot of like on Teams and Zoom and all that sort of stuff. So that's been a big part of the legislation changes. So if the clubs aren't prepared for that, they probably need to start getting prepared. And this could be essentially this could be the landmark situation. I don't think it's going to go that far, but if this was to go further, it would put all the clubs on notice that they have to start putting policies in place to avoid this type of conduct in the future, and make sure that it may even be a situation where players have to put their posts through a media department that gets approved first.
Yeah.
Put all their social media on private or something.
It could potentially open a huge can of worms, and I think a lot of just clubs now will be watching this case and how it unfolds now and what happens here, because this could be huge and change the way players use social media, I guess, into the future. Boys, we've got him for about a minute and a half more. Do you two have a question at all for him? One more question to fire at Jace to answer before he goes?
No, I'm good. I think I don't have anything to hit him with.
He's always got
he's always got something. He's got a big mouth. The only question I've sort of got is, do you think, on a legal standpoint, I suppose, and maybe this is a silly question, but do you think the news of the other players that have come out the last recent days, although there's been talk that was made up, but do you think any of that sort of gives any further evidence or any further sort of legal ramifications for this situation?
I think in terms of evidence, perhaps. So if it's true, then essentially they'd be backing Lachlan, saying, "Yeah, I've also experienced some type of bullying. It's the same workplace, so it could definitely bolster the evidence of the situation, but more towards an investigation, either by Fair Work or the Fair Work Commission or WorkSafe. So it's more about bolstering the position in terms of investigations. But to help his claim, it would purely be evidentiary, and it would have to be relevant to his claim as well, that they're experiencing the same bullying, and then therefore the club or the workplace has a tendency to bully in such a way, or a tendency to avoid looking after their employees.
Is that social media post though enough to warrant bullying? Like, isn't bullying's like, this is what we teach people is bullying's got to be repetitive, it's got to be targeted, it's got to be hurtful, and obviously more and more about that. But like, is that really bullying? Like, is that, there has to be more to this, yeah?
Yeah, well, as I said, the Fair Work Act defines it as repeated unreasonable behaviour that creates a risk to health and safety. So I think there was 2 or 3 posts, so potentially that's arguable as repeated. Whether or not that's unreasonable, it depends on how it was targeted, who was targeted to, and why. It seems like it is because Galvin said something bad about Benji. And then was that a risk to his health and safety? Well, that's a bit more subjective. That would need evidence from him. If it were a reasonable person in that situation, would that put them in risk of any of the health and safety? Maybe they don't want to go to work, but he seems to be going to training, seems to be okay. So I'm not entirely sure how much weight there is in terms of what's been reported, in terms of the evidence they would rely upon. But it could meet the definition. But as I said, that may just trigger an investigation rather than actually rather than there being a claim for damages or some sort of dismissal.
Can I ask one more?
Yeah,
He's got to go quick.
Does this open a can of worms? Like, does this literally open a massive can of worms here?
Yeah, well, look, there's a legal term called opening the floodgates, as a lot of people use as well. It could easily do that. It could easily open floodgates, especially we might recall, I think, last year where we had the issues with the players that didn't like the way they were being trained and the punishments at training and things. All those type of situations that are very specific to sport and especially to rugby league. You don't want those to become general workplace issues. You want them to be treated as very niche, very rugby league specific. And I hope that's the way these type of things goes. Now, you don't want people to be bullied, and I personally don't agree with what Taruva and Luai were doing online. I just think it was just not a good look for the club and not a good look for them as people, sort of teasing a 19-year-old. But in terms of whether or not it's legally bullying and workplace harassment, it might, as I said, trigger investigation. And I hope it doesn't, because you don't want those floodgates to open that now anyone can just say, I've got this bad comment or I've got this post against me and now I want to sue my employer.
Yeah. We've got to let you go, Jay. So I really do appreciate you jumping on. I know you have other commitments to get to. Quickly give Advisory another plug for those watching. Quickly let them know where they can find you, what they can find you for. Off you go.
Yeah, legal services, mediation services, and general business services. Xvisory, xvisory.com.au. Thanks, boys.
Legend. Love it. Thank you for coming on, Jason.
No worries
we'll
at all.
speak
Thanks,
to you
boys.
again shortly, I'm sure of it, with who knows how this ends up. So thank you.
Cheers, boys.
Thank you. Now, boys, let's chat from our point of view. We're obviously not legal experts, nothing but we give you just our thoughts. Now that the dust is settling away, first of all, let's just tackle what Jace was talking about. Do we think that it was bullying? Now that the dust is settled, we've had time to look at things, think our own, hear other people's thoughts. Do we generally feel like what has happened here is bullying? Trav, I'll let you go first. You're on mute. Oh, this is fantastic. He's muted himself. Unmute yourself. He's still talking.
No, I was just kept going. Just to be a butt of your jokes. But no, I don't think this was bullying at all. I think this was just a whole heap of players who were quite pissed off with the way this situation's gone on about it. I think this is a set of players who have bought into a system and have had one person come out and say that and do what he has done and the way that he's gone about it. And I don't want to hear the fact that it's, that the manager did this or that. The manager is representing him. At the end of the day, the manager is being paid and is representing Lachlan Galvin. So what is being said and what is being done is representative of Lachlan Galvin. So everything that I talk about when I talk about this is him. All right. So even though he's a 19-year-old kid and even though he's got, blah, 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 this is him. Right. So at the end of the day, this is a kid who's gone about it the wrong way. He's been advised irrelevantly the wrong way. People have not liked it. The club didn't like it. The players that have changed and sisters. See, the thing that people keep forgetting about is that, you know, two of those people that that posted on social media were two guys that have come to the Tigers, right? So they've bought into this system. They've come to change. They've come to get away. They've done those things and moved over and come to a system and want to make a change in that system. You know, it's pretty hard to go from a club that's won 4 premierships to a club that's won 3 in a row, bottom wooden spoons, right? So that culturally and mindfully, they've gone through and done all that. They've bought into this. And when the player comes off like what's happened here, and then all this stuff happens, it hasn't rubbed off lightly. They've got a right to say the way they needed to say it. Should they have probably pulled them into line or pulled him in at training or pulled him to before they go out on the park and said it? Maybe, but we're in a social world now, aren't we? Right. And none of that was actually all that bad. I don't feel like that was too bad. I don't feel like that's bullying. That's not, there was no swearing. There was no targets at that in terms of that. Yeah. So no, I don't think this is bullying at all, to answer that question.
If you want to see bullying, guys, go read some of the comments that I cop on a day-to-day basis with this page. Goodness me. Just quickly as well, if you're watching, please hit that like button, share it if you're feeling super kind. It does help us grow the page. It helps us grow the video, get more involved. Yeah, I really do appreciate that one. Hit the like, the heart button, whatever you can do. It does. It is very much appreciated. Jake, do you think this is bullying?
He's
muted as well. What is with you two? Seriously.
I don't believe that the 3 – look, as far as I'm aware, in terms of the posting and the online side of things, there were 3 incidents. The main one everyone knows about is the Taruba one, okay? And I'd say if any of them crossed the line, it was his. Jerome Luai put up a post that said team first, had nothing to do with Galvin. People construed it that way. And yeah, it was maybe posted at a time where it made sense for it to be around, you know, what Galvin was doing. But it said team first. That's not bullying. That's nothing. You're not going to get anything out of that. And the other one was Fanua Bole, a player who I want to give props to for having the opportunity to go to the Storm and saying, no, the Tigers gave me my shot here. All he did was like a post. And yeah, the post was talking smack about Galvin, but he liked a post. He didn't post anything up himself, do anything like that. The Taruba thing, okay, sorry about my voice. The Taruba thing maybe crossed the line, but is it bullying? No, absolutely not. Where I think they might have, I actually haven't had a chance to look at the letter, but there's also the fact that from some stories that I've heard, when they were in, like when Galvin got his opportunity to sort of address the playing group, and he took that opportunity to stand up. Apparently, a lot of the players told him to like sit down and shut up and not let him sort of feel like his voice was heard. If there was any part of that where I feel like there was bullying, it would have been in that sort of side of things. We're not letting him feel like he could get his point across as to why he made the decisions that he made and things like that. Overall, no, not bullying. Bullying is, like we teach, like Trav said, it's something we teach has to be consistent and over a long extended period of time. This has not been. It's been after an incident. Some things have happened. There's been incidents. It's not bullying.
It's like, where's the balance between emotion, showing emotion, and then the bullying side of things as well? That's where I'm sort of at, because a lot of this is emotional, basically reactions to a situation where, like Trav, what you said, these 2 players who are at question have just got to the club, have really brought in, like Luai said in his press conference, he's really taken offense to the comments made around Benji and Benji not being able to coach and this not being the place where Galvin thinks he can learn moving forward, which to Luai, who is a chief playmaker and a chief player in this team, he finds offensive as well and says, hang on, you're taking a crack at me and what I can teach you? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say what Galvin can and can't feel. If he feels like it's crossed the line or whatever, then that's him. That's fair enough. It's just very murky, I feel like, because of the manager at question, the lengths that he will go to for his clients we've seen in the past already. That's the part where it gets a little bit, how you going, I guess. But there's, I don't know if it's, I just don't think it's bullying. Like, I just don't get that part of it, because he's obviously talking to his manager and that's saying Benji can't coach, things like that. That, for mine, is the most hurtful thing that's been said in this whole thing, is what Galvin's apparently said to his manager, and his team are saying and leaking out that basically Benji Marshall can't coach. That's the most offensive thing in the whole thing. Like, if I'm peeling it back, all two of are really like for mine, Luai's post, definitely not bullying, not in the slightest. It's team first. Great. If I'm a Tigers fan, I've got a player that's buying into my team who wants to be at my team and is saying team first in a situation like this. Love it. Taruva's, if it was closer to the edge of bullying, I'm not sure because, to be honest with you, all he's done was really take a photo of his locker and say money, money, money. Like, okay, like if that's the worst thing, come on. Come on. I've seen local touch football teams that say worse on a touch football field. Like, I don't know. The thing that gets me is the manager. I feel like this is going down a deep path now, and let's start moving this over and whether it's right or wrong, it's gotten to the stage where I feel like it's best for every party involved, for both parties involved, to just separate, just to go. I know people go, nut morally, make him stay there, make him go reserve grade, things like that. It's not going to do anything for anyone. There's going to be animosity there. The headline's going to continue for 18 months. Is that good for anyone? No. As much as it's probably going to hurt a lot of the traditional fans, like all of us, it just feels like it's got to the stage now. It's best to just part ways. See you later. Trav, thoughts?
Yeah, look, I'm very interested to see that his name was named in the team list today. I think that I don't understand how there's no animosity. I don't get how he can come out and say all these things around how the club's treated, how the coaches treated him, how he's being bullied, and then the club sits there and thinks that he's, or the other players can go out and do in a brutal sport, feel like they can trust the dude in the halves to make plays. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. I just think this doesn't work. I was up until a couple of days ago of the belief to make him write his contract. I really wanted that to do that. I wanted them to put a point down that you've got a contract for the next 18 months. This is the way it is. You've got to do that. And you've got to stick to that. But I'm of the belief now with some of the things that have been said that you've just got to part ways and do it. But I think the NRL needs to come through and actually go, we're happy to release you. You can go somewhere else, but you're going to sign for the money that you're on until the end of 2026. I don't think this should be a moment of let's part ways and then, cool, I'm going to go and give you $1 million now for the next 12 months, 18 months. Like that to me is a really, really big dog act, and that needs to change. But yeah, I don't understand. Like I was watching NRL 360 yesterday and was watching Braithen Astor, and it was the most emotional I've seen him and the most angry I've seen him in years since I've watched him play. Like the way he was talking and how furious he was about this situation, just who's also a player manager himself. And to hear and see what he's saying about this and that he's on that path as well. Like this needs to change. This needs to stop. This needs to be cut off. The ties need to be done. That's the end of it. But there needs to be some rules about it.
I think Hard Ion has hit it on the head. Like, if the playing group doesn't want to play with him, how's it going to work? And that's my whole point. Like, if we've got a small sample size here, but I think we can all agree right now, yesterday was the worst we've seen the West Tigers all year. Funnily enough, it's after everything that's happened in the last 5 or 6 days. There's no coincidence there. In my opinion, I know people are saying the Tigers need to take the high ground, blah, blah, blah. In my opinion, they need to put themselves first, which for me suggests that means getting rid of Galvin. It's obviously become very toxic. It's impacted the players. They've just put in their worst performance of the year. Move on and just see. I know at the moment it's hard for him because Fane is not quite ready yet. He's not fit. He's still got an injury. In the next 2 weeks when he is back, I have no doubt in my mind, I know Galvin's back now, but he will be replaced by Whanu, who will be the long-term 5/8 moving forward by all reports. Him and Luai have a very good relationship, and that will make things a lot easier. But I just feel like it's clearly not going to work. Everyone now is starting to see it now that the dust is settling. Just go. Just end this. For everyone's sake, end it. Jake, do you agree?
Oh, I definitely agree that they should split off. And to answer Jess's message in there, do you think they're pushing that agenda like separating sooner by doing what they're doing? Absolutely. Isaac Moses knows exactly what he wants, and he knows exactly how to get it. And he's getting it by basically sowing anxiousness, anxiety, and distrust within him so that it's making the situation untenable. So the Tigers go, right, let's just move you on. I also think, though, that, there's so many fans that are going, stuff him, make him see out his contract. Okay, so do you want to stay on the bottom of, and not play that? If you're going to make him play out his contract, that's fine, but play him. Put him in the starting side and play him, right? Because he's one of your better players. If you're going to keep him in the side and play him in reserve grade till the end of next year, you want to stay on the bottom of the comp, because all you're doing is removing one of your top 30 spots for $350,000, no less. Like, get rid of it. I understand it's an issue, whatever, move him on. I feel like what the Tigers are doing, and rightly so, is actually holding out till there's some sort of piece they can make a play where they can go, hey, here you go, we'll give Galvin to, let's say, the Eels. Hey, Eels, you have somebody, you need to go to the Knights, so who do the Tigers want to get somebody from? Right? So
I'm hearing rumors and reports they want Piers Paul from the Knights.
That's what I'm hearing as well. So I believe you're right with once Fainu is back, he'll be in the side. And I think all they're trying to do is hold out as long as possible until negotiations happen behind the scenes, where then all of a sudden we're going to hear, hey, 3 people are moving. It's just going to go in a big circle like that.
I don't know who this is, but can we quickly tackle Nicholas Knoll's been active so far in the comments. Have we already talked about how Trav looks like Baron Zemu from the Marvel movies? Now, I don't watch him. I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, I'm not a big movies guy unless it's something to do with sport. Jake, do you know who it is?
I do, and he does. I'm going to.
Okay.
I'll send it later on in the chat. I'll send it. But
just so we know. But I'll take your word for it, Nicholas, and I'll just laugh with you because it sounds funny. So I'll lock it in there for sure. Just one final thing before we do move on. I think this point here from Andre is a great point. Galvin is creating a look for himself where no club would want him. It's a picture he really does not want to create. I think you are spot on with this, and it's something that we said from the start last week, that his manager needs to be very careful of the picture he's painting when it comes to all of this scenario. Now, whether the clubs have pulled out because of this or for financial reasons, whatever, in the last 48 hours or so, it appeared where there were 6 or so clubs that wanted Lockie Galvin to now it's almost one club, which to me speaks volumes about how this is being perceived by other clubs, management, coaches, players. I'd feel like, and I said this to Jake in our Para podcast, which will be out tomorrow, said it a couple of times throughout the week and stuff. This is the danger when you deal with Isaac Moses, and why so many clubs out there just don't want to do it anymore. The Roosters have refused to do it. And I think more and more clubs will do it because this is what happens. You don't want this around your club. And that's why I keep saying 6 months ago, Para fans were telling the club, don't deal with Isaac Moses again. Every time one of our players is off contract, it's in the media. We don't want anymore. Lockie Galvin now becomes available, and every Para fan wants Lockie Galvin. I'll get Galvin. We're going to be so good, blah, blah. Like, what do you want? What do you want? Because and I said it last week, I think Galvin is going to be a tremendous player. But the whole having to deal with Isaac Moses again for one of our key players, both now basically our halfback and our 5'8", sends shivers down my spine knowing that he basically has control of our club's destiny. I hate that. And it just does not sit right with me at all. Trav?
Oh, look.
Jake. Sorry, Jake.
We already talked about it, so I'll touch it briefly before Trav gets there. But yeah, Isaac Moses has been deregistered from the NRL 2 times. He has been deregistered from the NRL 2 times. And if that doesn't just straight away scream he's bad, he's trouble, you don't want to deal with him. That's where I'm at. Yes, I want Lachlan Galvin as an Eels fan and somebody when he's on the field. Yes, that's great. But then I really do not want to have to deal with another 5, maybe 10 years of, hey, let's stall out some negotiations for an extra $400,000, like, or whatever it be. Like he's been with us for too long with Moses, and it's not as if Moses has ever gone smoothly. So it's the same thing, and yeah, it's just an issue. He's an issue. He's a blight on the club. He's a blight on the NRL.
let's move on. Yesterday's game. Now, there was a few. Obviously, first of all, I want to say cracking game for a number of reasons. I think it was a very poorly officiated game, though, and this is where we're going to go to at the moment. There was a number of controversial calls. Now, I want to just run through a lot of these. Yeah, everyone's starting to see the Barrett. I just seen it then as well, and I lost it. So it is very much, very much the case. I want to quickly start going through a number of these things that happened yesterday, and I know for a fact Trav will come back at me for a number of these, and I reckon there's going to be some heated debate in this, and I'm very ready for this. I'm pumped for it, to be honest with you. Off the kickoff, I've got no doubt in my mind Kelma Tuolangi should have been sin bin. Now, as you can see straight away from the get-go, I'm not going to be biased here. I'm not going to have my blue and gold glasses on. I'm going to call it as I see it. That was one that was missed that should have been a sin bin for making direct shoulder contact to Terrell May's head. 100%. Not going to disagree. Now, this whole biff, whatever happened, push and shove, Taruva should have gone 100%. What he did, stupidity. Why Moretti went, I have absolutely no idea, because all he did was sit there with Fainu and basically hold each other's collar. Now, if you're going to send Moretti for doing whatever he did, you had to send then Fainu as well. I don't get what happened there. If you're going to send, I hate how referees do this whole even up whenever there's a scuffle. Okay, I'm sending one off. I've got to make it even, so I've got to send another one off. I think it's absolute bullshit. It's a cop-out. It's absolute cop-out. And I don't reckon Moretti or Finer should have gone, but if you're going to send one, you send the other, because they did exactly the same thing, in my opinion. The next one, and honestly, if it was the reason why we lost the game, I would be filthy right now. Iongi was not a sin bin. I don't care what people want to say. Iongi's one was not a sin bin. Absolute joke. And the worst part was 2 to 3 days ago, if you look at what Edwards did with Tedesco, and if that's not a sin bin, there is no way in the world of a millisecond of a second you can justify only going to the sin bin. Stafford told he didn't even have control of the ball. Had just touched the ball or just about to when contact was made. Not a sin bin. Now, Moses' tackle was a sin bin. That was a sin bin. So, again, I'm trying to be very calm, cool, collected, not blue and gold glasses on. That was a sin bin. But I just think the officiating overall, the Tuolangi hip drop, the whole thing was just a bit of a joke yesterday. Boys, come at me if you will. What do you got?
I'm letting Trav go because I feel like he will have more. We already talked about this, so I'm going to let you go.
I'm just so freaking sick of talking about it. Like, I really am. I'm just so sick of it. I'm sick of that it constantly covers it gives us content to talk about every week, and we're learning more and more about the rules or lack of rules that are officiated. We're learning more and more about, how bad our officials are and how bad the bunker is, and we're learning more and more about how much the community and the fans and everyone are getting pissed off. But I just can't. I'm just sick of it, right? I'm sick of it because what's annoying is literally every week for the last 7 weeks we've spoken about the refs and their poor positions and understanding of the game and interpretations of the calls, and it's particularly jumped up since they then came out in week 3 and said we're now calling all the head knocks and they will be sin bins, and so it's become even worse. And this is what we talk about all the time. And the fact is that nothing actually changes. What annoys me is that the NRL, they would be listening. They'd have people listening to all of this stuff, that have people watching all the comments, that have people sitting there in the stands, that have all of this. I dare say they're probably getting emails and stuff from people and private text messages and private DMs and stuff into all their social stuff to say about how bad the refs are, yet they do nothing about it, right? They don't do anything. I'm just so sick of talking about it. I'm just like, it's just ridiculous.
Do you think the Iongi one was a sin bin?
To go to the para stuff. Do I think it was a sin bin? I don't mind it being a sin bin. I don't have a problem with that one being a sin bin, to be fair.
I think that was the worst one of the lot, if I'm being honest. Like, I think the
Moretti one was the worst one by far.
The Moretti one was the worst.
Oh, yeah,
by far, by miles.
So you agree that wasn't a sin bin?
No, I don't agree with that one. Yeah. Definitely don't agree with that one. And I agree with what you said about Fainu. Like the fact is, if you send one, you send both. I do agree with you mostly about if you send one, you send the other in terms of fights and stuff like that. I do agree that's. Yeah, I'm on the fence with that one because if there's
As
a
in
fight,
they
then
shouldn't
the
do
other
it.
one, both ways. I don't mind. I don't see a problem sometimes in certain aspects of it. I don't mind the fight if there's two people having a fight and off it goes and all that sort of stuff. I'm on the fence with that decision. I know Mika up above said that it was silly about the fair writing off as you send. I'm on the fence with that one. I don't really argue too much about that. What pisses me off probably the most with that is that a lot of the time those fights happen because of something silly or something dirty that one player did, and so someone jumps in to try and protect their own teammate, and then the next one comes in. Like if the dude didn't do the thing in the first place, this wouldn't have happened. That's probably what gets me. So that's what I think they should stamp on more often than stamp on the actual fight. And I don't think they do that enough. But yeah, so I on that one, but on the Iongi one, I'm happy for it to go either way. Like I'm happy for it to have not been a sin bin, but I'm also happy for it to have been a sin bin too. And I can see the argument in both cases.
I want to blow up at you because that for mine, like that's 0.01 of a second or something is the difference about only making contact before Toa.
But he did. It doesn't matter.
Toa.
At the end of the day, he did.
Are we seriously saying 0.01 of a second is worthy of a sin bin? Because in real time,
a lot of
it actually looked like Staff of Toa had actually touched the ball first, like in real time. And then you have to slow it right down. If we're getting to that stage where that's how we're officiating the game, I don't care if it's a para player or whoever it is. I think that's a bit of a joke, especially when, as I said, on Friday night, Edwards, they've classed him staying in his ground or whatever, clearly took Tedesco out, clearly knew what he was doing, and there was nothing at all. Like, and then we're seeing that one, which is literally milliseconds in it, and we're saying, yeah, that's a sin bin, off you go. Like, I just think it's absolutely crazy. And like, I get what you're saying here in terms of what is he supposed to do? Basically, not get it wrong, not make contact with the head. Like he did a great thing trying to save a try. We all loved him for it. It was a great play, but unfortunately, he did get it wrong. And unfortunately, as much as I love the Eels and everything, he got it wrong, and he should have been, in my opinion, a sin bin. As much as it hurts me to say, because we would have lost the game for sure. It was a huge point of the game. He got it wrong. It was a sin bin.
I'm going to jump in here.
So, to answer Dave's comment there, I actually think Edwards should have been freaking put in the bin too. So, I think that's a disgrace. He was way worse, right? So that should have been a bin. And here's the problem with and this is what I'm talking about, the inconsistencies of this game. You can't go from one game where it's not happened, where something's even worse, to the next 2 days later, something much less of a situation, which I still think is in my opinion, I'm fine with it. But as I said, I'm okay with it not being put in the bin, and I'm okay with it being put in the bin. I don't mind. I'm not going to argue too much about that because I'm in either way. But that one that Edwards had, that should have been bloody put in the bin. No, there's no excuse for that. That's a disgrace.
Yeah,
Jake, Edwards absolutely should have gone. I agree. Iongi should not have. I'll say that 100%. Like he definitely should not have been out. I'm actually going to disagree with you on the Moses one. There, Joel. I think Schiller, first of all, shouldn't have been sent. Everyone's talking about how Schiller got sent and Moses didn't. We're talking about inconsistencies all the time. Schiller should not have gone to the bin. He flicked someone on the nose on the way through. He barely even touched him, to be honest. I don't think it looked like he barely even got it. Was it Schiller who got sent? Is that the one I'm talking about? The Knights player that was on the... Yeah. He got sent for 10 and he shouldn't have been. Yes, Moses did make head contact. I don't think what I would call direct and forceful. I think it should have been a penalty, right, as it was. And I think that it was actually handled correctly, to be completely honest with you on that one.
That was a very forceful forearm that went straight through the middle of his face. Like, I don't know how you can argue that one compared to
it's a sin.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Look, I'm happy with every other point we've made so far. It was a
swinging arm too. It wasn't just like I put my arm out and he runs into it. He's literally come around and it's a full forearm through the middle of his face.
It's not as if I wouldn't say it was a swinging arm. Like he's controlling his way up and under. Like he's trying to drive him out.
The key is that it went straight through his face.
Yeah, it's hit him in the face, and I think it should have been a penalty, or potentially you could almost argue possibly a penalty try. I still don't think a sin bin.
Honestly, he disfigured his face.
I actually don't mind the interpretation of does that tackle influence the fact that it was a try. But that's a hard one, and you're playing a lot in the, what would the what ifs, and I don't want to play in that field.
I get that.
I'm okay with that. But a forceful swinging forearm that goes straight through the middle of his face, that has to be a sin bin. If they're going to go with the rules of what's happening and what they've interpreted, that is a sin bin every single time. Yeah,
that's the thing we say, Trav. We say every single time, but it's just not every single time.
But this is what I said to you before. Matter. This is what pissing me off, is that there's inconsistencies. But at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. Whether it's inconsistent or not, in that situation, that was what the rule is, so that's what it should have been. And people that shouldn't be arguing that. The reason why we're having an argument is because Schiller the day before had the same issue and got sin binned, and Moses doesn't. There's all sorts of other ones.
And if you're going off Schiller's one, then Moses absolutely should have gone, and that's totally fair. If you're going off Schiller's one, and that's the thing that we have the issue with, is that we have to use different reference points from different games because it's just so inconsistent. So there's no real answer here. There's actually not. There's no real answer. It could go anywhere depending on who the ref is.
Get away with everything, Andre. Don't worry about that. We get into him every week about it. They get away with everything. But Jake, at the end of the day, Jake, for mine, it's inconsistency. Yeah, it's horrible. But the fact of the matter is, if it's a high tackle, connects high, it should be a sin bin, and that's it. It should be a sin bin, in my opinion. Moses got very lucky. The Eels got very lucky because I do genuinely believe if he went, we lose the game. So I'm cheering about it.
You don't get that. There's that straight within 10 minutes, there's the Moses amazing kick that turns into a try. Like, all of that doesn't happen. So it's an interesting story, but we can't play in that because it didn't happen. But
that's right. I wouldn't have been mad. Let me put it this way. I would not have been mad if it was a sin bin. I'm glad it wasn't. And I honestly think it could have gone either way.
Yeah. Again, he got it wrong, and that's unfortunately what happened. But anyway, let's move on because I can see Moses actually moonwalking his way into shot at the moment. And what's that? He's getting his number 6 Blues jersey, boys. Agree or disagree? Mitchell Moses is now a lock for the 6 jersey for the Blues. Jake?
Fully agree. I think that he hasn't done anything wrong other than not being able to play from last year, but he also wasn't able to play last year and walked straight into the side and won us a series. So maybe not single-handedly, but in that first game, he got 4 try assists, so he certainly didn't hurt our chances. And I think that him and Nathan Cleary next to each other would be impeccable.
Absolutely. What a game yesterday. Honestly, what a performance it was by Mitchell Moses coming back after it felt like a year away from the blue and gold jersey, unfortunately. Just put on an absolute clinic. Trav, I know you obviously don't really care about the Blues, so you'd probably say no because you don't want their best players on the field. But Mitchell Moses, having him at the 6 must be having you extremely sweaty over there.
Look, I wouldn't say sweaty. I'm okay with it. But to be fair,
he's smiling, bud.
I think the Blues would have rocks in their heads if they don't pick him. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like,
would you go as far as picking him at halfback then, or is that what you're trying to lean towards?
No. Because you have to play Cleary. Like, you have to play Cleary. So and Moses, it'd be. I mean, essentially, Moses can play that, no worries. I don't think he'd have an issue stepping into a 5'8" position and moving across. I don't have an issue, and Cleary's that bloody good that I don't have an issue. I think he can fix that and sort that out. So, yeah, I think that'd be silly not to pick him as their 5'8", to be fair.
Chris, I get what you're saying. Just for the podcast listeners to do this and afterwards, Moses and Cleary next to each other sounds great, but will it be too many main play callers and they get in each other's way? I don't think so. I think they're both class players and they can make it work. They can play one side each, basically, and that's how they'll play it. And the best thing for mine is if one of them gets a knock or something, they're a bit out of the game for whatever reason, the other one just steps up, takes control, and away they go. They've both shown in big games they can do it. Moses is probably his state of origin form. This might be controversial, is better than Cleary's. I'm happy to say that. Obviously, going off what he did last year and what he's basically been able to do in the Blues jersey, I think Cleary is still waiting to go and absolutely dominate an origin series like Moses did last year. So working together, I've got no doubt in my mind it can work. And to be honest, I don't think Luai's been great this year and hasn't warranted getting picked in that 6 either. So I reckon the way Moses has come back, obviously the bye this week, rest that foot up a little bit more and then have a good string of 2 or 3 weeks, hopefully get picked for the Blues. I think it's a fantastic little combination. And I think Queenslanders, I know Trav's trying to play it cool, but to be honest with you, if I was a Queenslander, wowee, I would be absolutely shitting myself knowing I'm about to come up against Cleary and Moses in the halves. That's just, wow. You're a good poker player, Trav.
It's good that you're not a Queenslander, hey? Well, you live in Queensland, but yeah.
Mate, I wasn't born in Queensland, thanks. I think with my blood.
One thing on what Anthony said is it says Moses already said he'll play second fiddle. Only issue is they both play right. Did you see him on the weekend? He can play on either side. He doesn't care where he plays. He's all over the field. He can throw him left. He can throw. Yeah, they can both throw him left and right. It won't matter.
Yeah. No, I don't mind this. What Andre's saying as well. The Bulldogs. Honestly, how good was what we watched on Friday? The Easter Good Friday clash, I should say. Packed house. The Doggies fans going crazy. Obviously, we didn't like what we seen at the end. That video with on the sideline getting into Jairo, the Bulldogs fans, things like that. That wasn't great. Not what we want to see. But the Bulldogs as a whole, premiership favourites. Are we locking them in right now as our premiership favourites? So I'll go. Well, I'll go here, actually. I'm going to go to Trav first because he's the Melbourne Storm supporter. He's been very confident from basically at the end of last year when they lost the grand final to saying this, it's basically the Storm's premiership to lose. He's that confident. Trav, are you now genuinely concerned about the Bulldogs?
I said in my ladder prediction, I think I had them number 2. I've said it all along.
Do you genuinely think they can knock you off? Do you genuinely think at that time they can beat you in a grand final?
If we continue with the injuries that we're getting, yes, absolutely. Like we've got some serious issues with injuries at the moment, and it's really playing into our depth. So yeah, definitely. If you put us 2 now in a grand final, absolutely. Give us another 20 weeks, and we've got a healthy list or mostly a healthy list. I don't think the Bulldogs can beat us, but yeah, I think they're a concern. They're definitely a concern and someone that I don't really want to meet up in a grand final. I'd much rather someone else.
Yeah. Just quickly, I'll let Jake go first. We'll go back to that. We'll go back to some of the real things. Jake, the Bulldogs, are they a genuine competition favourite in your opinion?
No, I don't think they're the favourite. They're absolutely a threat. Could they win the comp? Yes, definitely. We've talked about this. I still have Storm edging them out as favourite. Look, they've got, like Trav just said, they've got some injury woes at the moment, but they'll should be back hopefully by the end of the season kind of thing, and pretty confident Storm will make that 8, and if they make the 8 and don't have those players out, I actually reckon they should almost breeze through. They should almost breeze through to win the comp. I actually would love to see a Bulldog Storm grand final. I think that'd be an awesome game.
Can I give you both a hypothetical before I go back to a couple of these comments at the moment that are burning me to get to? Just give you both a quick hypothetical question. Right now, you've got to basically go all in on one of these teams to basically – you're on death row. They win the competition. It's the Stormmen are gone. They disappeared. They've been busted for the cap again, and they've bought each other 30,000 boats. They're done. Penrith or the Bulldogs right now, who would you be going all in on to save your life from death row to win the competition this year?
Including injuries or none? Like they're full strength.
They're basically, they're full strength. It's September. Everyone's fit, healthy. Away you go.
Panthers.
Trav?
Don't care how they're playing.
We'll see. No, I'm going the Bulldogs.
I'm going Penrith as well. I think Penrith just started showing us on the weekend that I know that they were on the advantage. They started to play downhill in the second half, but that was glimpses of what they can do. And goodness me, it scared me. Just scroll out. Trav, I'm going to give you one chance here. A bit of a retaliation to a few comments. You've copped it a bit tonight. The Storm have come up a few times. Do you have anything to say to some of these fans who are bashing you and the Storm about the officiating, refs. Anything to say, or are you just going to go, look, I'll talk to you in September?
Yeah, jealousy is a curse, isn't it? Jealousy is a curse, and people just don't enjoy teams
don't
being
encourage it.
successful. So enjoy,
Oh.
keep doing it because you got nothing better to do but see us continue to win. Although we lost on the weekend, but it is what it is. That's only our. I did the stats. It's only our third game we've given up of 40 points in a very long time, and we have by far the least amount of 40-point games we've given to anyone else in Craig Bellamy's career. So. You know, I'm okay. You're allowed to have a blip you're allowed to have a blip in in the season, and we just had one. But yeah, whatever. People want to whinge, they can whinge. They do it. They're just jealous.
You know what? I'd be worried the good teams don't get beat by 40 points though, or concede 40 points. Quick side chat here from Mika on Moses. I don't think there's been enough talk about how he carried himself as captain, given the history. He's done a lot of work on how to talk to the refs. I actually noted this as well when I was watching yesterday. There was a couple of times where he was ultra respectful with the referee, with how he went up to him, got the clarification of the decision, basically was like very, I can say this because I am a wog, very woggy with how he was speaking to the referee, very hand signals and like, yep, I admit what you're saying, ref. I understand it, all this sort of thing. So I loved it. Very respectful, and he's learned a lot because that was my big concern with Moses, and he's a hothead, gets carried away in the heat of the moment. There was a number of heat of the moment stuff yesterday that he could have lost his cool for with the ref, but he didn't. Credit to him there for going about things the right way and easing my concerns, I guess, in a way. Dally M debate, guys. We seen the post by the NRL. Will Kennedy is leading the Dally M medal for this year. Can we just open up this debate about what is happening here? Like, seriously, is this medal in the way we're doing this scoring, is this still the way to do it moving forward? Because Will Kennedy, for mine, has had he's had a couple of decent games this year. He started the season better than I think most thought he would. There was a lot of pressure on his game, but he has not been probably in the top 5 or probably top 10 plays in the game so far this year, yet he's leading the prestigious medal. Talk to
I'd argue at least for the last 3, if not 4 Sharks games, he's been their best on ground. So I'd say he would have gotten probably the most points in at least his last 3 games I've seen him play. That's what I'll say about that. I can't remember how he's played in the first few games to comment. I can't remember. All I remember is the last at least 3 games. I remember turning to someone and saying, geez, how good is Will Kennedy going over these last few games? And even in the reviews you and I have done, he's been absolutely smashing it, to be honest.
Well, obviously people who vote for him, or we and our community, don't agree, because just to go off the game on the weekend, he only polled 2 out of a possible 6 points. So, and in the last 3 games, he's only polled 7 votes all up, where he could have got 18 if he was the best on ground for the Sharks. So,
in what vote? Sorry,
for our one, the League of Inches Player of the Year, what I'm talking about. So, at the moment, I think the NRL have him on 20 points. In our one, which we do the same sort of metric, just to see how close we go and what the differences are. We currently have Kennedy on 12 points, not 20, which I think is a fairer result, because for us, we've got at the moment Haas and May leading it, with Jai Grade just behind on 19 points.
Yeah, but do we vote? We don't vote per game, do we? We vote for who was the best fullback for the year, for the weekend. Is that what you're talking? What you're referring to?
No, so they do the 3-2-1, similar to what we do.
Okay. Sorry, I was confused with the differences.
Yeah, so they just do it that way. So they're saying from all that, Kennedy is the best player in the game at the moment, and on track to win the Dally M.
Which I don't agree with that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying over the last few games, I would have thought when you said he polled that, you're saying on our League of Inches, he's polled those for us. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not saying I think he should be the Dally M leader, and I don't think you'll get it at the end. That's for sure. But I'll say this: I think he's an underrated player. I think that if you actually watch his game, you'll see, especially over the last few weeks, you'll see that he probably was best on ground for the Sharks, and that's probably why he at least got a few, he probably got some high ratings over the last few for them. So I don't know. It's pretty crazy. I think Jai Gray's been better over the year for sure, and by a lot.
Yeah.
And by a lot, I think he should be up top still. To be honest,
I don't think Kennedy's in the top 3 fullbacks so far to start the year.
no.
Alone
And I'm
top
not,
of
yeah,
top. Like, and that's
Yeah, but
not for
it's
mine.
not
When we
about
say-
it's not about that though. It's about what you
No.
play, what you do and how you
But
get the
shouldn't
votes
it?
in each game. No, it's not because it's different. It's a different system. We know he's not in the top 10 fullbacks. That's as simple as that.
Doesn't
But
that
if
make
he's
it
polling
flawed?
if he's polling as the best player in that game and he pulls a few games out of his ass like he has and gets it, then there's nothing wrong with the way that system is. That's just the way the MVP system or the Dally M or any sort of sports competition works. It's just the way it is. I think that's why you have it over the whole year. I mean, eventually it evens itself out.
Yeah.
Just because you're not the best or the top 10 fullback in the comp doesn't mean you don't deserve a chance to win the Dally M because you've played 5 games out of the 6 and been best on. That doesn't. I
But
don't
I'm
get your
sorry.
argument there.
I think. Well,
But I'm sorry, the Dally M isn't a coach's award. Isn't the
No,
you
it's
tried
based off
hard,
the best
off you
player
go.
in the game
It-
on that
Yeah.
game each week.
Which
well, think about
if
it
we're
this
saying
way.
that it should be the best player of the game throughout the year. There is
Yeah.
no way
But
in
it's
the world
not.
so
It's voted
far-
per. It's voted for
So-
per game every single week for 27 rounds.
If there's a
But
game-
because Kennedy, but
there's
my
a game-
argument to this, because Kennedy's been in a weaker team, or the Sharkies haven't started well at all. Their big names haven't fired yet. So because he's been the best of a team that hasn't fired yet, we're gonna actually approve of this method of madness because we've just all agreed
How's
he
it
has not
method of
been in the
madness?
top 5 fullbacks this year.
But that doesn't
Because
matter.
he hasn't even
but-
been in the
because-
top
but
players.
They haven't. But just because those players have not been, so they might be better players. We know that they are, but they just haven't polled as best on ground in those games each round. Like I don't get the argument you're trying to make here, Joel. Like it makes no sense.
I was just going to say there might have been a game where it was an absolute poo slinger, right? And so both teams have just like played very poorly, and he might have scored a try in that, or set up 2 tries in that, and then that was the best thing someone did in that game. But he's still getting the higher points in that game. Additionally, I think he's like one of those players who'd at least get 1 point or 2 points, or at least 1 point in kind of every game. So he slowly builds them up, as opposed to being that flashy person who's always getting the top one. Like, for example, a Nico Hines, right? Let's use him. We know what he can do. We know that he's probably a top 5 half in the game at his best. Okay. But when he has his best games, he might get a 3. But so far, how he gets his worst games, he might not get anything. So that's how it's feeling like for me. And I think Kennedy's getting...
He's hardly scored a point so far this year.
Oh, probably not. Yeah, probably not. But you get what I'm trying to say, right? So a player like Kennedy is very consistent, and when they are winning games, he's still getting at least a point, if not 2, in those games.
Yeah, because the system is votes per game. It's not votes per whether they're the best at their position. It's votes per game. Like that's the way the system is. I don't get what you're complaining about. Like I understand that you're saying because he's not the best in the position or he's not a top 10 in the position, and so therefore it doesn't. If he's not even in the best in those positions, how is he leading the competition? Well, because that's a whole different thing. This is points per game, votes per game. It's as simple as that.
It's not as simple as that, though. Like Anthony has given us a rap here because we've got Harson made top of the pops in our one. They are top 20 points each, and then Jai Gray is second on 19 points. I think that's pretty much majority of fans right now. I feel like would agree on that, and I think Hudson Young is actually third. He's flown up the last few weeks. He's polled almost the top points you can get in all 3 games. I think he's missed by 1 point, so he's been flying. I just think it's absolutely flawed, the system. And that's my main question here in the original question. Whether you believe Kenny's been man of the match for the Sharkies or not, he has not been the best player in this competition so far. And that is what the Dally M is trying to tell us right now, is Will Kenny's been the best player in the competition. The Dally M should always go to arguably the best player in the competition, if not probably the top 2 or 3, because we understand it's flawed. It's a flawed system. The other year when Sean Johnson should have won it and didn't, missed out just. Last year, I think we can all agree Hughes won it fair and square. He was the best player in the game. Teddy was very, very close. But I just think that's my whole argument here is that Kenny's not even close to the best player in the game at the moment. Hasn't even performed. I think he's performed maybe 3 games out of a possible 7 so far. Yet we're going to go, okay, he's leading the Dally M because he's been in a team that's been operating poorly than a lot of teams in the competition, but we're going to reward that. I just think it's absolutely ludicrous. It doesn't make sense at all.
So the whole, I agree with you. I think the system is flawed, but you're going to go, if you're going to have the votes per system per game, every single game, and do a 3-2-1, then that's the way it is. Like, we have to then change it. So if you're going to have the best player in the competition, there's got to be some rules and things for that. The Daily M is set up at this point in time by the amount of votes per the 9 games each and every week, or 8 games, or whatever it is, each and every week. And the person who's got the most votes at the end of the year wins the Daily M. Like, it's as simple as that. If it works out that it's not the best player in the competition, like, we all know Cleary is in my opinion, the number 1 player in the competition. He didn't win it last year. That's because he got injured, blah, blah, blah. But we know that he's the best. Hughes won it because over the course of the year, he played the most games and got the most votes in each of those games. That's the way this system is working. Like,
but Hughes is a fair one. Jake,
Hughes is a fair one last year, absolutely.
You're trying to get
you've got to give it.
muted.
I just said you've got to give it time. Like, as Trav's trying to say, the system is flawed when you look at it from a system of, hey, we've gotten through 8 games. There's 26 games in a year, and by the end of it, it's pretty relatively fair. Like, I just looked at the last 5. Right, we had Jerome Hughes last year. We could all agree with that. Yeah. I think Kalen Ponga probably deserved his the year before that because he carried them into the 8. He literally dragged them over the last
massive round.
Yeah, he Johnson pretty much was consistently the best. I think Johnson got screwed.
Yeah, but again,
but he got the 6 points in those last 10 games and it caught up.
That's right.
Nico Hines, I never agreed with this. I don't ever believe that he deserved that. I don't know about you guys. I'm willing to take that on the chin.
The star in a weakened opposition, a team again. He got majority of the votes almost every week because he was the main guy that the media was obsessing over.
Because he was
again
Buzz Rothfield's favorite.
Yes.
Tom Trbojevic in 2021. I don't think any of us can argue with that. That's unbelievable. And then we go to Jack White in 2020, which I think that one surprised a lot of people. I know Jess said something about that one. Yeah, that was an interesting one. I remember Gutho came second that year, and we lost it by about a point or 2. I think he should have won it. I think he should have won it, but anyway, we move on from it. But then he goes to Tedesco, Tuivasa-Sheck, Cameron Smith. So the system works because we're not looking at there's been 2 in there where we've talked about maybe they didn't deserve it. But other than that, those players, right? You're looking at pretty much we all agree that they were at least up there in the top 3. We're not sitting there going, this is some absolute, dink who just didn't deserve the spot. I think it works. It's not perfect, but it's a system that we have and it works.
Mate, there's so much more I can say about this, but I'm just going to let you off the hook here, both of you, because I could take you to town. I could embarrass you on national Facebook and YouTube, and I'm not gonna do that. I don't want to do that to you both.
I see.
We're gonna go to our favorite time of the night. And firstly, Nick, you are right as well. That's the other thing. I think the Dally M voters should go back to actually making it public who is the Dally M voters for each game, because for mine, it shows that whoever's been giving Kennedy all these points have absolute rocks in the head. Again, message the page if you want to show it, guys. But seriously, he's not the best player in the game at the moment. Nowhere near. So, can't do it. Nick, mate, I love you watching this, but, mate, honestly, can you just go back at Trav, please? Thank you. It's our favorite time of the night. Our League of Inches draft teams. We are up to the final member of our spine, the 5/8. And so far, I'll quickly go through our teams. So not the dollar, just the names. So we've got the Condobolin Rams, coached by Jake. He's got Edwards, Jack Howarth, Will Penasini in the centers, Nathan Cleary, and Riley Smith as his hooker. Trav, the Christchurch Cap Dodgers, coached by Trav. He's got Ponga, Jesse Ramian, Stephen Crichton in the centers, Isaiah Katoa coming off a huge game on the weekend, and Maxi Plath in his hooker. The Jamboree Jelly Wrestlers. Joel is the head coach here. Thanks, guys. Please, no photos or anything like that. Turbo's my fullback. Purdue, Iro, gone some young guns in the center spots. Moses, the Magic Man, who had a huge game on the weekend. Got him for a steal now, a halfback. And Jacob Little, the boys made me pay overs for him. Absolutely cheated by that one as my hooker. Jakey boy went first last week, so I think we're back to Trav. Trav, who is your 5'8" for the Christchurch Cap Dodgers? And just to let everyone know right now, you have available on your cap 752,000. No, 7,525,000. There you go. 7,525,000 your cap.
He's ripped you off 7 mil there, Trav. He's taken away 7 mil.
Well, he's paid Tonga.
Not surprised.
After Katola's game on the weekend, he's worth 2 mil. I've jacked that up.
I want Lockie Galvin at 350k.
You're off your head.
Because of all the shit, no one wants him, right? So I'll just take him for what he's getting paid next year. He's not even getting paid that now. So
no way. You can have him for 1 million for 5 years. 1 million a year for 5 years.
1 mil for 5 years. No, I definitely don't want Galvin. I just wanted to have a laugh. I want Dearden. So now I'm being serious. I want Dearden, and I'm going
I knew this would happen.
You knew it?
I knew you were going Dearden. I said it today. I didn't even put him down in my notes. I was like, no, I'm not going Dearden.
You're not going to go Dearden? I had a look, man. Like, I'm looking at the list and I'm just going, there ain't no one other than Munster do I want to pay anything really for. And so I've got Dearden here at 650.
You're having a laugh.
No,
You're
I'm not
off your
actually.
head.
And I'll tell you.
Jack that up by about 300,000.
Oh, really? So he signed an extension in 2023 and to do a 5-year extension at a minute recognized at about 666,000 a year up till 2029. So you
want a discount?
You want a discount.
You want a
No, I just
discount
said I want
after?
650. No, hang on. I'm the one that did the research. I'm coming out and actually giving you stuff because you're too lame to go and do anything yourself.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Hang on. You want a discount on his current deal after he just made his Origin debut? He's played for Australia. He's now a rep star coming off his best year to date, and you want a discount.
I want to pay. I'm saying 650.
I'm saying 850.
Oh, you got rocks in your head. Look, Nicholas goes out and says fair. Anthony said 650 to 700. You got Rob at 720. You got no idea.
Nah, he was talking about Galvin, Anthony, I reckon. That was when you were talking to Galvin.
You're lame.
What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, you said 650, right?
650.
If I'm being completely honest with you, I understand what his value is right now, but we've been doing it as if you were signing him across. So you need to be signing him as if you were.
We haven't.
That's what we have been doing that.
Yeah, I agree.
We've been signing him as if you were trying to sign them from another club.
Then,
right?
All right, so then I'll push it to 700.
See, I'm being genuine here. I honestly think he's worth 750. He's a New South Wales and Australia rep. Like last year.
Queensland.
I'd say
that's the team he plays for. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
But either way, he's an Origin rep and a Australia rep from last year. I think he's worth 750.
I'd say 8. I'd say 8.
I still think 750.
I mean, the player market, how it is.
I do get you. I think 750.
I'll go with Noel and say split difference at 725.
Well, no, the difference is actually 770. The difference is 775.
I'm going to go 725.
750, I reckon, surely.
You're letting him off here, Jake. You're letting him off.
Hang on, have a look at what everyone's saying. Have a look at them. Why am I listening to Joel? As I said, I learn from mistakes from the people who take Joel's.
There you go. Rob said at the bottom. Rob said at the bottom, 750 is fair.
The next figure that comes in the screen is the figure that you get to sign him for. Actually, no, I'm going to regret that.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Go, get in there and say 720.
Hold on, I'm joining the chat. 2 million.
I'll give you 750 and move on. 750. I cannot believe you're getting him for 750. That's ridiculous.
I'll pay 750.
There you go. You just had an 800. You just had an 800 there.
Thank
just
you.
accepted 750.
Nah, 750 is fair. 750. I honestly think 750 is a bit of a steal. Trav, now I want to know, what was your range?
750 was my top.
Yeah, see, I actually do think that's pretty fair.
Legitimately, that's what I put down.
Yeah.
650 to 750.
I think I think you've hit a reasonable price there. I think that's pretty good.
All right, whatever. Move on. I'm going. I'm disappointed by that. Jesse, you're off your head, mate. Stick to Supercoach. 1 mil. I agree, Rob. You should have signed in for 1 mil. 100%. Sam, 725. Jesse, 675. Mate, you are drunk. Leon, 800. See, I agree, Leon. I agree. But anyway, none on my side. Let's go for me. I think it's me next. Matty Burton, 550.
I also want Matty Burton. So I think we just take it to an auction. Sorry, I think we take it to an auction.
An audition.
An audition. We're gonna audition. We're gonna put him on audition. We'll decide if we want him. I also want Matty Burton.
Okay.
What'd you say? 550.
550.
750.
Man, 750 is what he's on now. So Joel's got
Good
bloody
luck.
rocked in here, everybody.
You can
Well,
have
he's
him
just
for
got it.
750.
750 done.
I do not want him for 750.
Auction over. Let's go.
Take that 750, man.
Yep, yeah, I'll
that's
take
what he's
him.
on now. So you might as well take it.
Yep, I'm actually quite happy with that.
Comedy Gold at 550k. Burton easier. Jesse's drunk. Honestly, how many have you had, Jesse? Let us know. Anthony 750. Yeah, he's got him for 750. See, that's nice and easy. I respect that one.
Can we just tell Jesse to go back to writing up some Supercoach posts, please?
Yeah, Supercoach, please, Jesse. We need those posts out before it's Friday. Thank you.
I had him down to 650. I was going to try and get him at 650. I didn't know what his value. I couldn't find it. His value
750. It's on Zero Tackle.
He's on Zero Tackle because I looked up Matt Burton value and it came up with
for the next 3 years. 750, 750, 750.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm okay with that then. That's fair.
I'm happy to take the value that is on that.
Yeah, right.
Luke Metcalf, 450k.
I didn't research him at all because I didn't even have
you.
zero.
Yeah, 450 for Luke Metcalf.
Did you say 750?
450.
You can have him for 750.
750?
That's what you just
You're
said.
as drunk as Jesse. He's writing his stats. He's doing his homework, laughing at this. Good on you. Good on you, Jesse. Guys, 450 for Metcalf. That's fair. Anthony, shut up.
He's on 500k. He's on 500k a season, mate.
Is
Luke
he?
Metcalf, a halfback for the New Zealand Warriors, has a contract worth approximately $500,000 a season, which keeps him at the club for at least 2 more seasons. So you have to go up a little bit.
I'll give him 400k when he back in Nuggets. I'm happy with that. Guys, that's on halfback. I'm signing him as a second fiddle. I don't want him to play halfback.
Hey, you can't do that. He's going to sign him.
500 feels too high. I agree, Nick. I agree. 500 too. I'll meet in the middle and say 475.
He's on.
He's on 500 now.
Okay, I'll go Ethan Strange for 350k. What?
Don't mute yourself, Jake. That's funny. You need to keep the laugh.
No, because my keyboard sounds like this. So I mute myself while I'm.
Like it's hail on the roof of a tin roof he's under. I think Ethan Strange for 350. Now, you know what? Or I'll go Jack Cole, 200k.
600k for Strange.
600k for Strange. Do you think Strange is worth more than Metcalf? Come on, Rob.
You're taking his. He's a gun. You're taking his future.
I think Strange is worth more than Metcalf, personally.
So do I.
Do you think what Strange is worth more than Metcalf?
Yeah.
He's a youngster. He's in his second year.
So is Galvin.
Yeah, but Galvin's a
so is Plath, and the way that you bloody charged me last week.
Oh, well, you paid. Strange 400k. Oh.
400.
You know what?
No way.
I haven't been able to find much about him. What do you reckon, Trevor? Have you been able to find anything?
I'd have Strange over Metcalf, to be fair.
Yeah, and Metcalf's 500. I'd have to say Strange is at least on that.
No, thanks. Move on then. I'll go Metcalf for 500. I'll lock Metcalf in.
550. You can't have him at his value.
You already said 500. What are you
No,
doing?
I said he's worth 500.
He's top tier with it.
He's worth 500 right now. He needs to go up. You can't buy him at value.
You know what? I'll have Dylan Brown for 750. I'll meet you halfway. I'll have Dylan Brown.
Oh, God. Yeah, okay.
Damn.
Oh, Strange is at 4. Strange at 400k. I'm happy to go Strange at 400k.
What do you reckon
On a
about that,
serious
Trav?
level, I think 400k Strange is fine.
I don't think it's fair. I really don't.
Yeah,
Trav.
you got Burton at value.
Yeah, because I won them at the auction, mate. I won him at the auction. I fought you for him. I fought you for him and won, mate. That's different.
That is the rule, guys. If we get into a debate, if we get into an auction, you get him whatever you get the price at. So that is fair.
The other guy stops at.
I won the
fair.
fight. That's it. I should have stopped at 700. Damn. Anyway.
You went way too high too early. You went an extra 200k. You don't know how to do auctions.
Well, I did. I was trying to blow you out of the water so you would just stop. And what did you do?
I only had 550 written down, so anything over 550, you would have had him. So silly you.
That actually is pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie.
So
what are you going?
This has been a long
right,
ass time.
Pick your person.
500k for Strange. I just think you'd have to give him at least
500k. Well, I reckon, yeah.
So 500 or 550 for Metcalf, you're saying?
Take your pick.
I would get. Oh, yep. Take your pick.
550 for Metcalf. 500 for Strange.
I'm going Metcalf 550. I think he's got enough. He's shown better form at halfback.
Fair enough.
5'8", and he's partnering with Moses and Turbo. He doesn't need to do much. Running 5'8", one of the best running games in the competition. He'll be on fire for the Jamboree Jelly Wrestlers.
I will say this. My halves have got a bit of a good long distance kicking game in Nathan Cleary and Matt Burton.
Mate, you need two players to compete with my one player's kicking game. Seriously.
I reckon Isaiah Katoa's got a pretty sick kicking game.
He does. You've got a point there. He really does.
All right. Let's go into, before we get the questions, start getting those questions in, guys. We'll quickly do our tips. We did forget these last week. Probably not a bad thing because I think we all got 4. I think Jake maybe got 5 though. So he got
because
the
he
only
tipped Para.
one different.
The only one.
He tipped Para. The rest of us still struggling.
Hang on, just quickly. Who are we doing next week?
Oh, sorry. So next week
yeah.
we will do. Let's do the big boppers. Let's do the front rowers. Let's get our big. Let's go back to a tour. We'll get the tour.
I'm excited about that.
Prop forwards. Wow. Where people go with this could be anything with not much money. Money's becoming thin very quickly for those that just spent 750k on their 5'8". They have absolutely stacked there. That was the reason why I didn't want to go so high. So that's okay. I'm happy with that. First game, Broncos versus the Bulldogs, Thursday night, Suncorp Stadium. Who we got? Rapid fire
Bulldogs.
here.
Bulldogs.
Jake, okay. Bulldogs,
sorry.
and I will go Bulldogs. Roosters against the Dragons, Anzac Day, 4:00, Allianz Stadium. Always pumped to watch this one, Trav.
Oh man, this is a hard one. Roosters.
Ooh, Jake.
Dragons.
You're right there.
I'm struggling. That was a tough one. I'm struggling.
You're doing a shit. I'll go Dragons as well. I think the Dragons are just doing too much. Next game for Anzac Day is the Warriors against the Knights. They did it so well last year. So keen to see what the Warriors do to pay respect for this one as well. Jake.
Yeah, I'm gonna go New Zealand.
Warriors.
Yeah, I've got the Warriors come out to play against a dreadful.
Where's Apollo Project Stadium? Is that in?
Thank you. Christchurch, literally.
Oh, right. So. I can't see where I'm looking, but yeah, sweet.
Oh, no worries, mate. Last Anzac game, Storm against the Bunnies in down at Amy Park. I've got the Bunnies in an easy one here.
I'll go the Storm. Big time Storm. They don't like to lose twice in a row.
Penrith don't like losing 4 in a row either, but they did. Storm.
Cowboys against the Titans, another Queensland derby. I know, Jesse, you're listening to this. I know you love these ones. So there's another derby for you. One every week at the moment. Trav?
Cowboys.
Jake?
Yeah, Cowboys, they're in good form.
Yeah, good win last weekend against the Bye. So I'll go the Cowboys to double up there. Penrith against
Are you taking 2
Manly.
points where you can get them?
Combank Stadium, home of the Blue and Golds. Jake?
Penrith are back. They've remembered how to
Turbo
win.
back. Turbo
Penrith
back.
are back. Penrith are back. They've remembered how to win.
Yeah, I'll go Penrith to double up here. DCE saga drags on. Trav?
Yeah, got Penrith too. A tough one. That's a tough one because it's not really at Penrith's home. So
no, it's not. But it is for the next 2 years, unfortunately. Did you just say Manly?
No, I said that's a tough one, but Penrith.
Oh, okay. Raiders against the Dolphins at GIO Stadium in Canberra. Starting to get cold there. It's starting to be a big, big advantage for the Raiders over the next probably 3 or so months playing down there. Wowee. I'll have the Raiders, and I think they might get this one. I think the Dolphins had their big up game last week, and they might come back down to earth here. Trav?
Raiders.
Jake?
Yeah, I've gone Raiders as well.
Last one, West Tigers against the Sharkies at Leichhardt Oval. Lockie Galvin returns at the 6. Jake?
Sharks. I think Tigers are a bit disgruntled at the moment.
Oh. Yeah, I'll go the Sharkies. I don't know how this is going to work out. After everything's happened, Galvin just comes back in this team and everything's okay again. I don't see this ending well at all. Trav?
Yeah, I got the Sharks.
Actually, now I'll go just as one further. I predict the Tigers to make the list on this game. I think the Sharks could run riot on the
At
Tigers
home?
in this one.
At home.
Yep, at home. I think this could be I think the crowd will be getting into to everyone. Like, it's going to be a messy game from a Tigers point of view. And I think the Sharkies will just eat it up and their backs will be having a field day. Let me just quickly double check. Is Hiroti still playing? Sweet. Super coach,
Yes.
Hiroti captain. Hiroti captain. Thank you very much. Let's get your questions in, guys. We'll answer a few questions before we go. I'll just go to the post first. Get those ones done and dusted while you get your questions in. So from nothing on the Instagram, guys. So it's all Facebook. Everyone loves Facebook. And again, shout out. We just celebrated 21K like 5 days ago. Went on this morning and looked, we've ticked over 22K within 5 days. That is ridiculous. So thank you, everyone out there that's following the page, giving us the love, sharing it, liking, commenting. It's all helping to help us grow, and it's all free. And you're doing a tremendous job helping support us. And it's ridiculous to go 1K in the space of 5 days. Wow. I cannot believe it. So thank you very much for the question. So the first one here from Jess. This one's a bit easier for me to read this week, so I appreciate you dumbing it down a bit for me, Jess. I really do. NRL fans have voiced plenty of frustration over inconsistent officiating this season. Yet we've just seen record-breaking attendance numbers. What's driving the surge in support despite the controversy? Is it star power, team performance, better fan experiences, or something else? Jake?
I guess I'll have a crack at it. Look, I'm not going to say that I know. I think as population grows within Australia, you're going to have younger fans coming up and through that are a bit more tolerant of this type of thing happening, I guess, considering, I suppose, your older heads and things like that are the ones who are really taking bigger issues with it. This is tough. I think that's the way I'd look at it. Is I think there's just more people to be watching, and to be going to these games. That's the way I'm sort of going with it there. But I don't know that I have an answer for this one. It feels like it's at a record point where everyone's arguing over the game. But yeah, it's also the most watched it's ever been. So,
in a way, the controversies help the game grow because that's what people talk about. And I know from a page point of view, and Trav will know this from the numbers and stuff that he sees, the controversial topics always do the best in terms of growth, in terms of likes and follows and comments, because that's what everyone wants to talk about. The rumors, everyone loves a rumor. Whether it's true or not, whether it's being floated out there by some who knows journo and we just repost it, they always get the most clicks. It's just what happens. It's what people follow. And then you'll get the people that go, oh, why don't you rave about that person's performance? Well, we do, but the post does horribly. Like, compared to the rest of it, it just doesn't match up. Like, the Moses one yesterday, surprisingly, did really well. And that was a surprise. That's the black sheep of the group, because it generally doesn't work that way. It's always the controversial topics, the things that gets everyone talking. Look at the Galvin thing, for instance. Whether it's a good thing or not, the West Tigers brand has never been so out there as it has been the last week, all because of a controversial topic. Did that lead then obviously to the crowd on the weekend? People came out yesterday. You felt like it was that us against them mentality from the get-go from the Tigers fans, and it was a packed-out combine. Look at the Dogs thing they're finally doing well, and you packed out a core stadium. That's unheard of in the regular season game. That's unheard of even in a finals game, to be honest, apart from a grand final. Like, crazy. So, yes, I think some of the inconsistencies, fans are generally over it, but I think now more than ever with memberships and all this sort of stuff, everyone is buying into their team more than ever, and they're showing that they love their team. They want to support their team more than anything. That's who they go for. So it helps. It all works in together. It's become a soap opera. It's married at first sight for guys. I keep saying it, but it is. We love it. We're addicted to it, and we'll tune in every week like we keep doing. Trav?
Yeah, we're in a different world now. Too. We've got different generations. We've got social media. Social media drives up the simple fact of why we've got interest in the game. It's as simple as that. And people go to watch, what the social media has been seen over the last few weeks, and they're engaged in it, want to go and see it. I've said this many times. We're a generation, and particularly a nation in Australia, of negative attention. We love to engage with the negative attention. We love to, it's as simple as we like to bring people down. We don't like, we have bad tall poppy syndrome. It's just, there's so much about it, but that's as what you said, Joel, it's exactly what gets the likes. It's what we read, it can guarantee. And as much as we hate it and we will all talk about it, I would love to just sit here and talk about all the good things that happened on the weekend, but we didn't. We didn't talk about that. Did we talk at all about the massive game that the Storm just lost to? We didn't. No. We didn't talk about the team that beat them by 40. We didn't talk about that and the effort they put in. Did we talk about, we haven't spoken about the Bulldogs and what they did about giving all the top tier seats $10 tickets to pack out the stadium. They sacrificed profit for putting bums on seats. We didn't talk. That's a good story. We didn't talk about that. We don't talk about these good things at all. We talk about the negative stuff, and that's what makes stories. That's what we want to hear, apparently. And so that's what we do. So that's the way it is. And that's why I would love that narrative to change, but that's a whole culture, nationwide cultural system that we have to change as Australians.
Yeah. No, I agree. One from Andre before we go back into the comments. Do you believe that the referee should join the press conference at the end of the game in answer to calls that have been made which have the coaches confused, and a call that may have costed our game? We've spoken about this before at length, so I won't go too into detail because we've done a fair bit of officiated bashing the last couple of weeks. And to be fair, I'm a bit over it because it just clearly is not going to change anytime soon at the moment. The NRL believes, sickly enough, they're doing a fantastic job, which we all know as fans they're not, but apparently we know nothing. I just think this would be fantastic. I think they should have their own press conference. But to be fair and honest, and we all know this, it's not going to happen. They will not have the referees be held accountable like that. They want to hide them as much as they can and protect them. Why? I don't know. They're on as much money as some of the players these days. It's a full-time job. It's their profession. They should be held at the same. If the coaches, and we said this last week or week before, if the coaches have to address the media 10, 15 minutes after a game, why shouldn't referee do it? It's the same situation. They're heat of the moment. Talk about it, but they don't. And the other thing is, it's not always the referees makes it. Like yesterday, a lot of those sin bins came from the bunker. So you're getting the people from the bunker making a lot of these controversial calls, which at the end of the day now, the referee is just the relayer of everything that's happening. And you can't have, it's not really, the referee might just say, his answer to every question is going to be, oh, the bunker told me. Oh, sorry, the bunker told me. And then we're just going to go, oh, yeah, sweet. We're glad we're in this situation. So I understand where you're going at it, and I do. We all agree it would be nice, but in theory, I don't think it would work at all. Rob, you boys should take over. Look, we respect the Para podcast for sure. We have our own one though, so just a quick plug for that one. Our Para, myself and Jake do it. It's released every Wednesday at lunchtime. Actually, no, about 11 o'clock. Sorry, 11 o'clock. It is released via podcast or YouTube. So just watch that or listen to it wherever you get your podcast to tune in there. Haven't gone live with it yet. Who knows if we do that down the track? I'm not too sure. I know a lot of you are used to that. We're happy to stick more to listen to it at your own time and not just sort of shove it down. We've already got the one live show each week. I think that's more than enough at the moment. Mark Brown via Facebook, and he's a subscriber as well. So don't forget, on Facebook, go click the subscriber hub tab that gets you through to the Legends group. $2.99 per month, a whole heap of exclusive content, 10% discount on all League of Inches merch, and double entries into all of those awesome giveaways that we do throughout the year. So, Mark, how can Galvin participate in the game if he's already submitted papers to the club alleging bullying? Doesn't that create a conflict? Trav?
Yeah, we already spoke about this. This was one of the things I mentioned before, and I quoted Braithen Astor off the G'day Diggs off the NRL 360 last night. Is that this is just a massive storm now, unfortunately, and there's not going to be no fix to this. I like what he said about the trust. You know, this game is brutal. It's a tough game. And these big forwards and the big boppers, you know, they need to trust their halves and their halves that set them up and how they work and what they do with that. And how, after what he has said about the club and the coach, can they fully trust this guy? You know, the NRL in a sport is a sport that you must trust the dude beside you, because you're so reliant on the dude beside you on either side of doing the things that you need to do to be able to do what you need to do. Like, that's just the way the NRL is set up and how it is. And how can they do that with Galvin there? It just doesn't make sense to me. Particularly after he's used the words bullying. You know, that's a very big term, a tough term, and a harsh one to use. It's probably one of the worst things you can say about someone and what they're doing. And it's also one of the worst things that can happen to somebody. You are being bullied. It's horrible. So I agree, Diggs. It's wild. It's a horrible situation, and I don't see how it works.
Just quickly, guys, before I go to Jake to get his comments on this one, if you are going to Magic Round, you're there on the Saturday, and you haven't got tickets to our first ever live event, we are there. You can meet the boys and girls, part of League of Inches, have a drink with us, catch up, talk all things footy. We'll have my camera going around as well if you want to be part of some future social media videos and stuff like that. That'll be available. Come down, message in the comments here. If you haven't got a ticket yet, you want to go, and we'll organise a couple of double passes to give away towards the end of this show now. Been a huge show, been a lot of consistent viewers throughout, so very happy with that. We do have a limited number that are available to go. Still have a few tickets available. So if you do want to go to that one, we want to meet all our fans, say thank you to the League of Inches community. So keen. I know that both the boys here are very keen for the event as well. It's going to be a cracking night. So if you want to go, please just add a comment in. We'll organise something for you. Jake, what are your comments around there? It is so true, but like, how can you go from last week putting in a complaint about the bullying to now going onto the field, 80 minutes where these guys are supposed to trust each other? Very clearly that's lost. There is just everything's done there. I just don't get how it's going to work.
I think Trav summed it up beautifully in the sense that rugby league is a sport where you need to be able to trust your inside and outside man. And at the moment, it can't work with them not trusting them, because you know what? As soon as one of them makes a mistake, well, more accurately, as soon as Galvin makes a mistake, someone's going to say something to him, and I reckon it's all going to blow up. And you know what? Like, if he's as cut about it as he says he is, you'd almost think, like, if there's a mistake made through him or something like that, someone might say something. You'd almost think there might be, the way it's been blown up, there might be like blows, like almost between teammates. Like, you're thinking, that's the way I'm saying it. Like, the way it's been blown up, you'd almost imagine that they're not going to, they can't. I'd love to see, I love the Tigers, and I hope this doesn't happen, but I also, like, think it would be a hilarious thing for the game where if something like that happens and they blow up at each other and like you could really see that, or like someone push someone or something. I think it'd be really funny, but yeah, it can't work, surely.
Yeah, I don't know. Last one for the night by Shannon. Parramatta handled Dylan Brown's $13 million departure with professionalism, keeping him in the side for 2025 despite his record deal. Whereas the Tigers dropped Lachlan Galvin to reserve grade and only record him after a week-long saga. What does this stark contrast reveal about senior player leadership at West Tigers versus the Eels? Well, first of all, I'll say one thing about this. Dylan Brown also didn't come out and basically bag out his coach and things like that and say Jason Riles couldn't coach. That's a big bit of information here. Like, it's easy to try and put them together, but I feel like they're both completely opposite. I think it's obviously gone downhill very quickly with the Tigers. With the Eels, whether it's sort of, I know from like there's a lot of Para fans who are saying after Dylan Brown's performances, let him go now and things like that, drop him, all that sort of thing. So it wasn't all handled great. Like management handled it way better for sure. But Brown was also very respectful with how he's handled this and his manager and things like that as well. So I think it wasn't just the club that was professional with that. It was Dylan Brown's manager, it was the way Dylan Brown organised things. He loves the club. He generally does love the club. It was life-changing money that he simply couldn't refuse. He understood that. The club understood that. And in a way, I think the club is happy to use that money in other ways to get perhaps Lachlan Galvin and shore up their future. Trav?
To me, the Dylan Brown situation is the way the NRL wants to be run. So I have no problems with what he has done. And as I've said many a time, the player is worth what the contract's been put in front of him. And if the team wants to pay for that, then that's it. We, as a content creators and as a discussion, we'll talk about whether we think that dude's worth it or not. And most of the time, no, we will say that. But at the end of the day, the contract's put in front of him. That's what he's worth. Someone wanted to pay for it. I have no problems with that. I also I think absolutely Para have handled it well. What's not been handled well is the players the fans early days have been sitting there talking about sacking him, get rid of him, send him, do all that sort of stuff. Yet we get a question like that. Isn't that interesting how the change happened so quickly? That's a really interesting thing. And as you said, Joel, really eloquently, is that this is a different situation. Lockie Galvin's 19. Lockie Galvin's on 250K. Lockie Galvin's going to 350K next year. Lockie Galvin was offered $1 million. He said no for 5 years each year, and he said no. And from that, he's then gone out and then things got leaked around that the coach is this and the bullying's this and all of this sort of stuff. It's a whole different situation. I think Para have managed it well. I actually think Para have essentially managed the fans well over the last few weeks as well. So, it's a good question. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, I think it's a tremendous question, a great one to. And on Robert Delaney, please message the page, get yourself a double pass to Magic Round. If I'm reading that right, you are going. So good to meet you.
I think he's asking
come and have a chat.
He's asking us. I think he said.
Are you guys going? Oh yeah, we're hosting an event, mate. So we will definitely be there. We've got our tickets. We'll be there for all 3 days. So hopefully we get to meet a fair few people over those 3 days. We cannot wait. It is less than a week and a half away now. I can't wait to get out there. And yeah, just get amongst it. It's going to be a really quality few days. That's it. That's all we've got time for. We've got a few more. I'll quickly. So the cows. Rob Brown is good when he has a leader like Moses next to him. Without that, we have seen what happens. Brown will struggle without a dominant halves partner. Well, that's something the Newcastle Knights have to worry about. They've thrown in the $13 million contract. I've always said Brown will see the true Brown this year when Moses is back. And we finally did that. Brown is not a main playmaker. He never has been, never will be. That is on the Newcastle Knights. Absolutely shocking. And lastly, Mika, I love Dill, but I'd still dump him or move him on, not from spite, just because we need to look to the future. He's not our future anymore. Well, I'd say unless we can get Galvin now, no one who will be in that 6 jersey will be in the future anyway. So it's sort of don't get it. So unless we get Galvin now, and I do agree, if we get Galvin, I don't know
Jumping
how
in there.
Dylan can stay in the team. Move him on, all good. But if we can't, then I don't get why we'd move him on for now. So, my opinion. That's it. Let's go. Let's go and get amongst it. Go and chill out. Go look at our Supercoach teams. Make some trades. Get ready for tomorrow night's episode, Trav. But thank you. Setting you a PM. Oh, is this Andre? You going to Magic Round? I think. Okay, good to see you there. Thank you. Good night. Good night, Trav. Good night, Jake. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Huge show. Everyone's been really amongst it. Thank you to Jason as well, xvisory.com. Oh, sorry, not why I said that. Xvisory on social media. Go give him a message if you are needing anything legal, or message us, and we'll point you in the right direction. Thanks for coming at the start, Jace. Really do appreciate that and giving us, everyone, if you only got on late, make sure you go back and watch the start of this and hear what he had to say about all things at Galvin, legal letter, and what the requirements and where it puts everything. So good night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you again next week. The warm up to Magic.